Hey, it's Soul, and this is Warcraft Weekly with a lot of info to drop on you, so please like the video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, and catch me where I'm live. The 11.17 patch was announced, and a PTR build is already available. Yay! So using this, let's begin with talking about what's happening, well, really soon. In 2 weeks, Season 2 will begin its Turbo Boost. It's the best name they could think of, apparently, kicking off a series of new opportunities to gear up and raise our strength beyond our normal expectations. Hero and Myth Track gear will have 2 more upgrade levels and work straight off the upgrade NPC just as normal. High-level crafted gear can be upgraded another 6 item levels by buying a special matrix off the Enchanted Crest NPC for a fair cost and then use it in a crafting or a recrafting order. There's a new optional slot in the crafting window to make this clear, so crafters day 1, y'all just might want to sit around and make money all day. One thing that hasn't changed yet, the number of gilded chests that can be looted from tier 11 delves. It still shows a maximum of 3 on PTR, but we should look at the announcement where they said there'd be an increase to repeatable earnable chests across delve tiers. Now, I can see how the language there could exclude gilded crests, but considering how much we're cutting loose on the gearing restrictions and easy hero or myth track gear, at least adding an increase to this cap, it shouldn't be so bad, right? Otherwise, the play would be for delvers to grind delves pretty hard for rune crests and then trade them up. Like, it's a path, but I guess we'll just see how that audience reacts when this goes live, because this is the first time Blizzard's really going all out in the mid-season. On the other hand, there's some great news for Mythic Plus World. When puzzling cartel chips are made available with Turbo Boost mode, the vendor will now include what they're calling a selection of dungeon trinkets from the season. Just like the raid items, Hero Track dungeon trinkets can be bought with chips with no additional requirement. Mythic Plus folk, they don't have to raid, they can just earn chips by completing 4 Mythic Plus dungeons per week, although I'd still say, quick run of Raid Finder is a lot faster. Earning Myth Track dungeon trinkets will require you to have timed 12s with every dungeon or otherwise be a resilient Keystone person. This is great news for folks like me who now have that much more variety choosing a hero trinket to pick up. All that's left now, I suspect, is to include delve trinkets into the mix, because yeah, there are sims out there telling gamers trinkets from delves are best for them on the hero track level. On top of wanting their inclusion, there's going to be a debate about myth track delve trinkets though. There's no mythic or plus 12 equivalent to delves, but maybe delve trinkets can still be added anyway with, just the hero option. Gamers need to clear 4 delves a week, and I guess that would be it. I gave my takes on this sort of bad luck protection a while back, but I'm just going to leave the floor open to you folks. Do you think there needs to be this kind of bad luck protection in this or every season? Why or why not? Alright, let's look at more of what's coming in 11.17. Now, my testing was limited. What we see is bound to change before going live, seeing as how this is only the first build. So first off, we have the combat assist tools that help players learn a recommended rotation. There's even a 1-button assist option that won't get you top in meters, but it will let you get by with a rotation by slamming just 1 button. These features have sparked a lot of debate, even some negative backlash, especially from the higher end community, and I'm not so sure why. It's like, there is no analogy actually. It's just high-skilled gamers making these assertions of how the game should be played, trying to say this to an audience they most likely would never play or interact with really. And it's not like these don't already exist in the form of, add-ons. Blizzard's just making a basic one to help out those who don't really use any add-ons. So I predict the chatter on this is going to fall off a cliff as soon as the patch goes live, at least, outside of those who get a kick out of holding a grudge against Blizzard. But anyway, here's how these features work. The combat suggestion tool can be turned on via options menu. It's a little bit buggy as predicted though. Sometimes it has a good idea of what to do next, although more often than not, it gets stuck, partially because of its dependence on needing usable abilities on your bars. Otherwise, I think it gets confused sometimes. The 1-button assist works pretty darn well though. This is accessed by opening your spellbook and dragging it to the location of your choice, and then just fire away. You can right-click the assist button on your spellbook to reveal the abilities that'll be used. Now, it's not perfect and it's not trying to be perfect, but I'd say it's going to feel essential for people with accessibility issues who are unable to hit so many keys. And both of these can be a great learning tool for those looking for an intro to their class or a re-intro if they've abandoned that class many moons ago and need a refresher. It feels like performance-wise, it'll put you in a good place in content up to normal raids and pretty high-level delves as long as you're pulling conservatively. Otherwise, you'll need to improvise with some crowd control or defensives and kiting, that sort of thing. The button doesn't work as well for tanks, but it gets the very basics down. And for healers, it's passable as a way to deal some extra damage solo or in delves or in a group. So in its current state, it feels like the DPS version of the button is the furthest along. What excites me is these tools have the potential of improving the skill and performance floor in the world of Warcraft. I'm sure we've all seen folks on meters who are clearly phoning it in, or they just really don't know what to do. Some of us are those people who just, strap on whatever gear they've got and dive straight into group content because, hey, we're just going to do our learning right there. In the long run, while the Blizzard version is going to continue to be supported now that they're doing it, ultimately many will turn to add-ons if they want the most up-to-date rotation or, some other customization because of its independent authors who can respond to players' needs much faster than the corporate speed of Blizzard. The recent cooldown manager makes a good point out of this. Critics are making a joke out of it due to its lack of customization, and also pointing out there are add-ons to modify Blizzard's own version. But we've been here before too. With the launch of Dragonflight and its big UI revamp came a whole bunch of add-ons to answer the immediate needs of its players. It was missed by a lot of viewers that this cooldown manager's introduction is just that, an introduction, and Blizzard wanted to get it into players' hands even before these obvious features were put in. It's unfortunate Blizzard's UI and UX team can't or won't just hotfix new features in as they happen, but in a way they can also take their time because, hey, they're just like the big faceless company, and I guess they're willing to take pie to the face, knowing that in the meantime, players can rely on something, namely the third-party add-ons, or they could just keep using them. On the flip side, since they're taking on the UI, maybe they ought to make new exceptions to their philosophy and just be more aggressive to meet these ongoing needs and feature requests. Okay, so let's talk about the other patch stuff. It's called Legacy of Arathor, and it takes us away from Khazalgar and to the Arathi Highlands to do something about the rising tensions between the Horde and Alliance. Now, this didn't come from nothing. The Heartlands audio novella covers the lead up to this upcoming questline, and a link to that is in the video description. As it stands, it reads like more of a problem with the factions in the region and not like this worldwide, upcoming BFA Part 2 sort of thing, and we'll be helping Faerun and Danath keep the kids in check before these tensions spill out everywhere else. Meanwhile, the Horde and Alliance over in Dorne, they're just, I guess they're just gonna keep sitting there, right? Looking back, it's a bit weird. Thrall and Jaina went through all the trouble of bringing backup over as fast as they could, and now, they're just still hanging out on the beach, I guess. Anyway, the post says this is a 2-chapter storyline, so while we might not know exactly when the questline starts because that's the world we live in now, it'll be over pretty quick, and there's some replay value with having a point of view from each faction. Lorewalking is a new feature or possibly a mainstay feature starting with this patch. Accessible as low as level 10, so after Exile's Reach, players can speak with Lorewalker Cho and take on a number of different stories. They cover some old quest lines, some abridged dungeon experiences, and even new story meant to do more for the lore as opposed to giving a hands-on experience with your class. But they do award gear and XP with toys at the very end. I wonder if this is a piece of what Holly Longdale said a while back when she wanted to do more for players who are returning from long breaks, or even new players. I think what they're trying to do here is pretty cool, but again, I hope it's just a piece of a very large project to create a more cohesive story experience for someone who's picking up the game for the first time or missed out on a few expansions and needs some catching up. Delves are getting what feels like an experimental feature to bring in some greater difficulty and rewards. It's all part of my master plan. This is a really early look, so I'll share what information I found. On the PTR, 2 delves were chosen at a time and have a very obvious looking marker to show the delve in this kind of increased difficulty state. The 2 chosen delves will change each day, but I can't confirm 100% if they're also always going to be marked as bountiful. Inside the delves themselves are additional traps in the form of lightning mines that restrict where you can move, and extra mobs that can be pretty tough on tier 11s, but they're also adding a gimmick to help you out. You'll receive a powerful belt, and from Wowhead data mining, this can be upgraded to beyond Season 2 item levels, so maybe it's aiming to have a kind of sort of Cersei's Circlet vibe, as in it might be usable into Season 3 of The War Within. So far, it doesn't seem particularly powerful as an item level 678 piece, although there is a console in these delve types that let you unlock traits, although as of right now, I have no clue what these traits are or if they affect this belt. To power up the console, you basically do these overcharged delves, which you can do at any difficulty, and you'll get the materials you need. That's all we know so far. There's no word on other new gear and delve currency amounts, but I'll be sure to cover it once we learn more information. I have a feeling we're going to revisit conversations about feeling required to do certain things like delves so folks can do their keys and raids, and well, we'll get to that. I'm just kind of mentally preparing myself. It doesn't look like it'll start right away, but there'll be another greedy emissary event where basically treasure goblin-like mobs will spawn in capital cities. We'll be able to earn mounts as well as another recolor of the updated tier 2 sets that were released during the 20th anniversary event. So don't mind me, I'm going to let some pictures scroll by for a while. These events are very simple with a, show up and get stuff kind of vibe. On top of this, there's going to be a collector's bounty buff that increases drops in legacy content throughout Azeroth, according to their announcement. As soon as we get an idea of the specifics and more importantly when, you probably want to mark your calendars. I'll be talking about that in a bit, but let's just wait for confirmation. But to ask for a permanent increase to drops in legacy content, well, you've never had to wait to ask for that. Turbulent Timeways will happen during this patch, and again, we're going to get to the dates later. What's special about this one is it's introducing Battle for Azeroth into Timewalking, featuring your favoriteest dungeons. For our sanity, it doesn't look like Mechagon or the Motherlode will be included in this rotation, and like previous Turbulent Timeway events, there's a special mount to work towards. This time it's the Infinite Pirate Dragon, which technically came from Shadowlands, but hey, let's not sweat the details. Folks have been waiting for this one for a while now. There's more that's been uncovered from player investigations and data mining, like a snazzy coat, which I have no idea where it comes from, but it looks hella good. I'm hoping this one comes from the BFA Timewalking vendor. A new ability will be added to all characters for some quick out-of-combat healing. Recuperate has no cooldown and will restore your health over 30 seconds. It's fantastic for wipe recovery when the whole team is low on health and healers are trying to get their mana back. It's also great for solo contents like leveling and delves and, basically any situation where you need quick recovery after a fight. So it's pretty much destroying the need for HP-based food that doesn't give a buff, but racials and I guess bandages will still have some use in combat. This lends to how much the idea of downtime in World of Warcraft has changed over the years. Like back in the day, you would fight until you ran out of mana or you got low on health and you needed those 30 or so seconds, and the game worked around that. Today, not so much. Our combat uptime can be a lot higher, and what we're waiting for are cooldowns to amp the damage, to control enemies or, keep ourselves alive, but we can still move from fight to fight at a different pace as opposed to stopping, though of course we can do that too. As we predicted, Blizzard's continuing to add expansion-wide meta achievements from the past, this time covering Legion. The meta is very incomplete at the moment, it's showing a bunch of BFA achievements with it, but at the moment, I'm going to ignore it. One, I still have the BFA meta to work with, but we also pretty much know that the Legion remix is coming later this year, so I'm thinking why wait when that's a for sure thing to happen? This way, on my journey to pre-unlocking decor for my housing, I'm not going to be doubling up my work, so again, I'm just going to wait for the remix. The only thing I'll really look out for or do in advance would be achievements that would have me checking in each day for like a certain kind of rare or all the world quests, those things that rotate in because, sometimes those can take a while. That is what we know so far, but what about the when of everything? Let's start with the patch itself. We have a guesstimated launch date of June 17th if we just count 8 weeks per patch, because so far that's been like the most reliable metric to work with. By this point, we'll be well into the Turbo Boost and Horrific Visions, and Dastardly Duos will also be live before then. On the PTR calendar, which is as reliable as nothing, Turbulent Timeways begin the week of the patch, starting with Battle for Azeroth, which is kind of suspicious, and I'll explain later. The Midsummer Festival will distract us for a bit before the Collector's Bounty and Greedy Emissary begin maybe 2 weeks later, July 1st, and it goes on for a month. So maybe around this time, we'll have the fullness of Season 2 on us, with the Zone and the Delve content, the Raids and Mythic Plus stuff, and Time Walking, and so on and so forth, until Turbulent Timewalking ends on August 5th, again, based on this calendar. But there's a small problem. On the calendar, Turbulent Timeways lasts for 7 weeks, from June 17th until August 5th. This actually matches previous Turbulent Timeway events, which were just as long. The announcement says Turbulent Timeways will last 6 weeks, and the schedule looks very intentional, starting and ending with Battle for Azeroth, so this time it's a little bit shorter, leaving gamers with a smaller window to complete the Mastery achievement, which still wants you to participate for 5 weeks worth of time walking. Now, if we count weeks, the 11.2 patch is most likely to launch the week of August 12th, giving some wiggle room for when Turbulent Timeways will start, because that's a more likely event to get shifted around than like a whole last patch release. We have all sorts of takes on the quality and the depth of these patches throughout War Within, but we can't question the timing, at least. That has been very reliable, and that is the show. So it's quite a week of announcements and rewards and damage control and responses to feedback. It's a somewhat typical week in Warcraft. From the look of it, next week ought to be fairly quiet before things really ramp up with the turbo boost, followed by horrific visions to add more to our plate, and hopefully you've cleared a bit of that plate off now with the Nightfall stuff. I mean, hopefully that seems to be fine, I think. Let us know how it's been like for you in this second week of the patch. Yeah, I know time is going pretty slow. And let's wrap it up with a huge thanks to everyone joining us for the live streams. Y'all have been great. And it's awesome when people drop by for the first time and get to know how I really act, whatever that is. To our beloved patrons, we have a new one for the first time in a while. Thank you so much to Zenfire for their contribution. And we can't forget about you who made it to the end. You fed the algorithm. So if you don't mind, please like the video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.